welcome back to What Now, a podcast for the lost and found. This is your host, Amanda. I hope all of you had a wonderful weekend, and if you live in the South or the Midwest, you did not freeze to death. It's currently snowing right now in Nashville. Dirks and I are inside. I let him out to play a little bit earlier, but it is, I think, like a high of 18 or 19, something like that today, which is just wild. I don't remember it being this cold last year, but Mother Nature and the climate are probably at fault here. But oh man, it's wild. I think we've got like 6 or 8 inches of snow, and it's still coming down now. But it's been a cold day today. But I just want to catch up with you guys real quick before we jump into the show today. Catch up on the week. There's been a lot happening with my personal life. So like I've had a lot go on with my marketing job, my full-time job. We've got 2 large government contracts that we are applying for in mid-January, and both of those are due this week. So I worked all last weekend and the last couple of days on it and helping my team get that ready and submitted on time. So shout out to everybody on the sales team at IO Studio and anybody that was working on the creative deliverables or the copywriting. It's been a long, wild time with like 1,700 million billion cooks in the kitchen. So it's been interesting to try and keep all of that together and straight and finish it. It's one of those weird moments where like you're so exhausted it hurts, but you're so excited too. So you can't wait to see what the results are going to be like, and you're crossing every limb you have, every available limb, to make sure that your hopes and prayers are answered. So I think it'll be a really great application, and hopefully things turn out well for us in the end. So send up your prayers and keep your limbs crossed too for me. I would really appreciate it. But let's see. So I've been working a lot. I've been working a lot more with my producer as well, trying to make some plans for 2024 to help get the podcast off the ground and keep things moving in the right direction. I don't really work in this world, right? Like obviously I started my own show, but I do not fully understand what the industry is looking for or what running the show successfully would require, right? Other than consistency, like keep showing up, keep being yourself, keep being authentic. I still have a lot to learn. So I've been very appreciative of his coaching and assistance. But January 2024 is essentially our strategy month. So we're planning out what the rest of the year should look like and things that I need to do. It's been a lot trying to catch up on what I don't know, applying what I do know, and identifying additional things that still need to be added to the to-do list. It's a lot, right? So I am keeping it together as best I can for that. And then had to prep for the snowstorm because Snowmageddon of 2024 was coming. I walked Dirks this morning and realized I forgot to pull my windshield wipers up, right? Like, do you guys do that where you don't want them to freeze and then break or anything? So you have to leave them sticking straight out from your windshield rather than laying flush on the glass. So I realized that I messed up and forgot to do that. I do not have covered parking where I live, so my Jeep is currently buried under the snow. But I fixed the windshield wipers though, so they're safe. Everything's fine. It'll be okay. But yeah, so the point of today's show, now that we've kind of caught up on everything, nothing super new, but the point of today's show was to celebrate my birthday. I'm recording on January 15th. The show will come out on January 16th. So tomorrow for me, today while you're listening, I turned 33. And it's kind of a surreal, weird thing to say, I don't feel older, but aging is kind of weird, right? Like I don't feel older. I don't feel like I look older. I'm definitely not acting older. I still have the humor of like a 13-year-old boy, but just in a 33-year-old woman's body. It's weird having a birthday in January, right? Because it's right after the holidays. Everybody's either back in school or exhausted from the holidays. And then it's winter time still. So you can't do much. It's cold. It's snowy like today. So the most adventurous thing that I get to do today, right, is chase Dirks up and down the street while he's running and jumping and rolling in the snow. So it's a weird time to be getting older. But I think I'm realizing I'm starting to get to that age where I think the birthday is just a day, and I'm not really sure how to celebrate it anymore at this point. Like I don't, it feels weird to try and throw a birthday party for somebody that's not under the age of 10. I don't know. I don't really know how to do that. So when people would ask me over the last couple of days, oh, what are you going to do for your birthday? Or, oh, how are you celebrating? Or, oh, do you have any big plans? And some days when they would ask, I would confidently tell them, no, I plan on being stuck inside with my dog. Or other days I would awkwardly be like, no, not really. It's kind of whatever. And I felt almost like embarrassed, like I didn't care enough about myself to not have a plan. And the reality was everything else was important to me leading up to this day. So like doing the podcast episode, getting my work done for those government contracts, making sure my team was okay and they had everything they needed to finish the job. That took precedence over taking care of myself, right? Or thinking about myself, I guess. And then my friend Ashley was so kind and did take me out for dinner and some drinks with a few of her friends. And that was really lovely a couple nights back. And I had a great time with them. And the only thing really I did for myself, I'll tell you guys, the only thing I really did for myself when I was getting ready to go hang out with Ashley, I opened up my makeup bag and accidentally dropped it. And I went to pick everything up in my bathroom and I opened up my compacts and my blush and the bronzers and whatever. And I had cracked all of them. So when I opened them to try and use them to get ready, they just kind of shattered and like created all that colorful powder all over my sink in my bathroom. And so I told myself, okay, it's time. Maybe you don't go into the office that often, but it's time. The foundation you're using is your summertime foundation, which is like maybe one shade darker than what I normally wear. I'm a very fair person, if you've ever met me in real life. So I looked like I had a weird fake tan that just never rubbed off properly when I would try and wear foundation. So it's kind of like, you know what? Your foundation's off. Your blush is broken. Your bronzer's broken. It's time. So I bought myself new makeup. That's what I did for my birthday. That's as wild as it gets. Played snowman with Dirks outside and bought myself new makeup. So there we go. But yeah, the whole point is just aging is weird, right? Like you have to find a way to embrace it and enjoy it and appreciate the fact that you get to wake up one extra day, another day, again and again, because eventually there will be one day where you don't. Not to get dark, but it's true. Everybody does it. But you have to embrace it and enjoy it, but also prepare to get older, right? Like you can't just keep living the life that you were living when you were 21 for forever, right? Like that'll catch up to you. You can't keep living the life you were living when you were 28, right? That'll catch up to you when you're 45. You can't keep living the life that you were living when you were 30. Like it just physiologically, it's not the same anymore. Your body does change. You have hormonal changes. You start losing bone mass and muscle density and whatever, muscle mass. So you have to prepare for the realities of aging physically. Be responsible with that. Like just because you don't feel older doesn't mean you're not going to be reminded of it constantly. So it's just, I'm in a weird space right now where I don't necessarily feel older, but I'm learning to appreciate what I have done and what I have accomplished at this day and age. At 33, everything that I've ever dreamed of, chased after, accomplished, failed at, learned from. has led me to today, to Amanda turning 33 today. So, and some of you may be listening to this and be like, 33, oh my God, you're such a baby, blah, blah, blah. You got plenty of time. I mean, yes and no, depending on what it is I'm trying to do. But I think the most important thing you can do when you're thinking about your birthday, if you are feeling societal pressure in some kind of way about it, like, the only true thing I know is that you can't stop it. You can't stop time, right? It's going to keep moving forward. And there will always be someone younger, prettier, smarter, faster, stronger, more educated, whatever, than you are. And you have to accept that time is going to pass. It's going to pass for you, and it's going to pass for that person that's better than you, quote unquote. But what you do with your time and what you do in the meantime while you age is really what matters. So for anybody out there that's a Capricorn like me and you're in your feels lately about turning older this year, I would say be proud of who you are and how far you've come. And congratulations and happy birthday. And I hope that this year is the best year yet for you. And that you find a way to embrace all that you still have to offer. And in the meantime, as time passes, I hope you are living your most fulfilled and enjoyable life possible. That's really all I have for the birthday message today. To celebrate the birthday and to hopefully engage with everyone here, all the listeners, I have collected all of the questions that I posted a Q&A on my social media, and I asked listeners to submit. They could submit emails, they could do private messages, they could do anonymous messages as well if they wanted. So I pulled up some questions from everyone and put these together. I did not put these in any particular order, and I didn't really think about them or put answers to them ahead of time. So we're just going to dive on right in. And I just want to say thank you to everyone that submitted questions, or for the Ask Me Anything or the Would You Rathers, the hot takes. I really appreciate it. And I hope you enjoy this episode. All right, we're going to get into it now. Question number 1. How are you protecting yourself from the negative aspects of life, mainly those in the media? Okay. I'm going to assume this is asking me about how am I protecting myself against negative talk or negative thoughts, I guess, related to social media. It's really, really hard to completely block out all negative thought and all negative media outlets or bullies, I guess, the internet trolls coming for you online. And to be honest, I guess right now I am lucky enough that I don't have that many followers, or I don't have that many people that feel the need to hate on me or judge me indirectly via social media. So I don't see a lot of really negative talk. I'm sure there may be people that are talking trash about me behind my back, but I think I've mostly learned that other people's opinions about you, unless they're willing to have a direct and open communication about how they're feeling with you, then pretty much their opinion of you and what you're doing does not matter. And for whatever reason, on social media, people seem to think that it's okay to just outwardly hate people and put stuff on the internet that they would probably never actually say to your face in real life, but they think that they can hide behind the screen because of presumed anonymity. And people forget the fact that the other person on the other side of that screen is a real person, whether they're famous or not, whether they're pretty or not, whether they're smart or not, whether they're educated or well off or not. Like, every single person is on social media primarily for engagement, primarily to build a network, primarily to connect with a community that they would not normally meet otherwise, for the sake of wanting to feel less alone in the world. And again, I'm simplifying it. Like, sure, businesses are on social media because they want to make sales, but They are attempting to make sales by connecting to their consumers. And anybody that's online like that is just trying to make a connection. So should I start receiving hate or start receiving negative treatment online or in the media? I think I would do my best to remind myself that these people don't actually know me. They are probably projecting an insecurity or an assumption of their own onto me, and that's not my place to correct them for being rude. It's really unfortunate that they chose to be rude, but there's only so many battles I can fight every single day, and correcting internet trolls would take all day, and I don't have time for that. I have time. I'm going to do stuff that's fun for me, not chasing hatred. So I hope that answers the question. Thank you for submitting that. All right, next one. What is Dirk's best skill? So Dirk's is, I feel bad. I'm not as good of a mom teaching him a bunch of lessons. My niece has one of Dirk's sisters, and she named her dog Tanner. Tanner knows like probably 10 tricks, like all sorts of stuff that she was able to get out of a book, 101 tricks to teach your dog book. Dirk's knows sit, lay down, jump, paw, shake, whatever. But I think personally his best actual trick is that you can throw something up in the air, and it doesn't matter how high, how far left, how far right, how low, whatever, how obscurely you could throw it over your shoulder without looking, he will find it, jump midair and catch it. Like 9 out of 10 times, he will catch whatever it is you're throwing in midair on his own. He is large, he's 130 pounds, but his ability to jump is incredible, actually incredible for his weight. So that's what I think his best skill is, catching things in midair, no matter what size they are and how crazy you might try and throw it. He can typically catch it. So that's what I think he can do. All right. What is your biggest accomplishment / thing you are most proud of? Oof. That's a great question. Since I asked that out of all of my guests, it would make sense that somebody would want to ask me that. Your biggest accomplishment, thing you're most proud of. I would say that the biggest accomplishment and the thing I'm most proud of are one and the same of the situation. I do think my biggest accomplishment was setting a goal when I was really young, even if I don't remember it, and manifesting it into making it come to fruition. I wanted to work for the federal government, and I made that happen with a career in national security. So I think that was a huge accomplishment. It can take years and years to even get your security clearance, to even get picked up by a contractor that would be willing to pay for you to go through all that training and send you to the client. And it takes a lot of effort and trust and training to get to a career like that. And it's not for the faint of heart by any means. So I think that was my biggest accomplishment. The thing you are most proud of is twofold. So I'm so proud of the accomplishment of starting that career, but I'm proud of me for being able to walk away from it as well. I think knowing your limits when a dream is finished or achieved or no longer for you, it is very hard and it's devastating to let go of something that you held so tightly to. But I'm most proud of realizing when that threshold had been reached and understanding when I needed to pull away. Even if that's been the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Emotionally, I'll say. The hardest thing emotionally. That's still probably the thing I'm most proud of. Accomplishing a dream, realizing it wasn't working, and pivoting into the unknown. Pivoting into the unknown. That's probably what I'm most proud of. So, thank you for submitting that question. All right. Is it still democracy if I can't vote against war? Okay. So I will preface, I did work in national security, but I did not study political science. So I do not have a political science background. I did not work on Capitol Hill. I was never an intern on the Hill, anything like that. Like, I do not actually have experience with public office related positions. But if I'm assuming we're talking about the United States here. So is it still democracy if I can't vote against war? So anything I'm about to say is my own opinion. It is not the opinion or supported or confirmation from the government. So do not take it like that. I would say, yes, it is still a democracy, even if you don't directly vote against war, because the way that our democratic republic is set up, you're supposed to vote for people to represent you as a citizen. Citizens are supposed to be able to go out and live their lives while our representatives take care of the public office requirements and needs and decision making, So I think you can indirectly vote against war by voting in a representative for, your local community, your state level, or your federal level representative. If you vote in people who follow your particular ideals or they support your idea of not going to war, that's the easiest way to vote those people into power. However, it's a very slippery slope, right? At the federal level, there's no term limits. People do seem to get stuck in their ways, and it can sometimes come off as a popularity contest and a extremes angry fighting match. And that's really disheartening and hard to watch as an American citizen, much less as a member of the international community watching the United States struggle with those things. And that's very unfortunate. But I would say, yes, it is still a democracy, even if you can't vote against war, because you have to vote for the representatives that you identify most with and that you believe will provide the best life for you and your family and your community. And to do that, we have to put people that have more moderate views or who are more willing to listen to views that are not their own. And right now that's difficult to do given our political system. So none of that is perfect, but I would say yes, it's still a democracy. All right. So moving on. How do you keep so organized? I am so impressed with how you tackle your goals. Happy birthday. Oh, thanks. Thanks for the birthday wish. So how do you keep so organized? Man. I'm assuming it's a learned habit. My mother is incredibly organized, always has been, like had label makers on everything in our closets and bathrooms and cabinets and stuff. So like you always knew where things were supposed to go and where they were supposed to be. There was a place for everything when I was growing up. So I think I have a little bit of a learned habit there. How do you keep so organized? I always had an agenda, like even in high school and college, I had like a physical calendar agenda that I would write everything in, and I would save it on my laptop when I was in college. That way I could track when things are due and what's coming up. But I also physically kept everything with me and written down. So like visually seeing something helps me remember, writing it down helps me remember. But tackling my goals, I have so many goals, so I really don't know. I'm very flattered that you think I'm this organized. I think the biggest thing is just the consistency. I don't do everything every single day, but I always find a way to keep showing up for myself. So if certain things are important to me, they stay prioritied. Ugh, that's not a sentence. They stay as a high priority. So I think learning to be flexible with my schedule made tackling goals easier because I was not so rigid with when things had to be done or could be done. Just as long as they get done, then it'll be all right. So that's typically how I do it. But I try and keep things as simple as possible in my professional life. So when I'm at work and we have a big project like this where we have multiple people submitting contributions to a project like we have over the last couple of weeks, for me, it was easiest to have shared files. Everybody can contribute to the one that belongs to them. I keep watch over all the comms that are coming in and out of the office, and I send everybody the files that have asked for them, but they're always in the same place. They're always in the one spot. Everybody that needed access was given access. Like I don't gatekeep, I guess, too, would be the one thing. But sometimes you just have to pick a system, keep it as simple as you possibly can, but pick a system, train people on what the system is and how it works, and just keep providing continuous education and patience. I think not everybody's going to get it on the first try, and not everybody's brains think the same way as your brain. So sometimes you could be doing something that you think is completely efficient and normal, and somebody else is like, what? This is whack. Like, I would never do it like this. So be open to suggestions, but sometimes you just kind of have to take the reins and be like, this is how we're going to organize it, and this is what we need to do until this project is over. And then we can do like an after action report and find out what's wrong or how to make it more efficient next time. But having enough confidence to just be like, I need us to follow this rule for now, and I will update it as we go. So keep a system that works for you. Maybe you use Post-it notes that are certain colors and you put them in order of what needs to be done first, and then you move the Post-it note over and further along down the board as you accomplish it or move it. I've seen that. I've seen some people do color blocking on their calendars. So if you're always on, red is always for virtual calls. You put red on the call hours when you know you're going to make time for those people. Blue could be, these are my brain breaks. I'm going to take them. They're automatic. They're already built into my schedule. Green is focus time on answering all emails, answering all texts, getting back to people. Orange is going to be my doctor visits, whatever it is you want it to be. You pick your color system, but you block out your actual schedule. Go ahead and fill it in completely and follow that. I had to start doing that with the gym. I put a blocked hour on my schedule at work because every time I would try and go, somebody would still need something, and I needed to learn the boundary of this is your 1 hour to be by yourself. Go and get it done. So those are some of the things that I've been doing. Color blocking on my calendar, making executive decisions when project management needs to happen, just taking the reins and telling everybody this is how we're going to do it, and training people on how to do it to make sure everybody's on the same page. And then I enjoy writing everything out on a calendar. Physically being able to see that calendar and track against it has helped me. So hopefully some of those tips are good for you. If not, let me know what does work for you, and then we can share it again on the show. All right. Do you believe in the one? Okay, I'm assuming this means like in love. Like, do you believe in finding the one, or do I believe like there is only one major love of your whole life? Okay, so do you believe in the one? To be honest, I don't know. A huge part of me wants to say yes, that I do believe that there is the one, like you're going to have a great love in your life. I have been in love in the past, and I have had relationships where I felt extremely connected on multiple levels to someone. But even though I was falling for that person, the other person I think was just infatuated or probably ended up love bombing me, and it wasn't a genuine connection like I thought it was. They were interested in just enough of me to not actually have to make any kind of commitment. And when things would start to get serious, then you're like, oh, nah, never mind. Gotta go. So I don't know if I necessarily believe in the one. If the one, in quotes here, if the one is real, then I don't think I've met the yet, but I will say I do believe in people that end up becoming the one that got away. I did have a long distance, but long-term relationship when I first went to college. So I think it was 18 to 21-ish for that relationship. And it was a very good relationship, but it was long distance and I was very young and not as emotionally mature as probably as needed for that particular situation. And when it ended, I was very, very depressed. I don't think I handled it as well as I could have in the end. But again, you're 21 and you're distraught and exhausted. And hindsight's always 20/20. So I think that particular person ended up being the one that got away because they did set a very high and honorable standard for how I should be treated and what I should be looking for in a partner. And I will appreciate that for the rest of my life. But that was probably the one that got away. So I think it's okay to have something like that. It's a learning lesson in life and in love. I don't know. I don't know if I will ever meet the one or if there is just one for me. Or maybe I missed my mark. I don't know. Maybe I missed my chance. Not entirely sure. But I think for now, I need to focus on healing and growing and being the best possible version of myself. So that way, when I do run into someone or the one, I'm actually open and willing to accept that opportunity in front of me. I think sometimes after you get hurt so many times from dating or relationships, you can get jaded and not jump when you're supposed to jump, not take the risk when you're supposed to take the risk, not try when you really, really actually deep down want to try because you're so scared and you're so hurt and you're so burned out from all the other garbage. That's what I would like to do. I think that's what I want to focus on this year, reminding myself I should stay open to all the possibilities that are in front of me, which does include love. So we'll see. Okay, on a more lighthearted note, how many French fries is it okay for a friend to take before you tell them to order their own? I'm actually pretty easygoing with my French fries. So if I order a plate of French fries, I'm probably going to automatically order the large, especially if I'm with like very specific friends and I know that they're going to take one or two or three or half. I just go ahead and order the large. I'm not bothered by it. If you want a French fry, please take a French fry. All right. What would 10-year-old you think of you now? I don't know. I think 10-year-old me would be like, what do you mean you what do you mean you finally got the dream? What do you mean you finally did it and just left? Are you kidding me? You went through all that pain and agony, all that student loan debt, and you just left. But oh yeah, you just left. I think she'd be a bit confused at first, but then I think she would probably hug me. 10-year-old Amanda was incredibly emotionally intelligent and very empathetic. So I think she would tell me that it's going to be fine. And yeah, if 31-ish Amanda realized that moment had passed, then she should trust herself. But hey, at least you did it. So I think at first she would probably be confused, but after hearing the story, I think she'd probably be empathetic because she always was. All right. What was the last thing you couldn't get off your mind? I don't really know that I don't have anything in particular that I couldn't get off my mind. We've already kind of talked about work a bit and me trying to be strategic with the podcast, but the last thing you couldn't get off your mind, I had a song that was stuck in my head over the last couple of days from Mr. Probz, Probz. He has a song out called Praying to a God, and I've had that song stuck in my head. It talks about, there's this girl praying to a God that won't talk back. And they're been a lot of moments in my life where I've thought about religion and thought about how you're trying to find spiritual guidance and acceptance. And it's organized religion's odd to me when I think about it sometimes, because you are just metaphorically screaming into the void and hoping that somebody on the other side of that tin can hear you. But it's that's probably what's been on my mind the most, or couldn't get off my mind, is listening to that song, praying to a God that won't talk back. It's a conundrum, right? Okay. You can only pick one. Would you rather have a personal trainer, a personal chef, a housekeeper, or a glam squad? So glam squad we can probably get rid of. I don't do anything important enough to need a glam squad. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not getting invited to stuff that would require a glam squad. So I can probably drop glam squad. A personal trainer, I don't, I have people I could call. I have people that I trust. Like, I enjoyed working with Desby a long time ago. I would call her up again in a heartbeat. I have my friend Judah here in town. I've got the Evolve You app. I don't really need someone face to face. A personal trainer is a nice to have, but it's not a have to have. So I have people I could call. So I think I'll drop that one. Now we're down to personal chef or housekeeper. I think I'm going to go with personal chef, because at the end of a really long day, the last thing in the world you really want to do is cook for one, cook a meal for one, and then clean it all up and put it away. That's kind of the joy of when you do live with someone. Like if you're the cook all the time, then they could be the dishwasher all the time, versus me, I'm the cook and the dishwasher, which just adds to more housekeeping chores that I have to do. So I think I would rather have a personal chef with all my meals prepped and made, with my macros exactly right the way I need them to be. One less thing that I have to think about would be really nice. And then the housekeeper stuff, I'll keep doing on my own. It's not that bad. Dirks does shed a lot, but all in all, it's a clean house. So I think I'll take a personal chef on that one. Okay. Ignoring your actual age, is there an age you feel like you're stuck at? I think I might feel forever 28, 29-ish. I don't, my parents and family members tell me I really hardly ever age. Like my hair color might change, but my face in and of itself has not. So I think I'll be forever 28 in my mind. It was a fun time. It was a risky time. Like that was the summer that I left FEMA to join the FBI, and I was, doing a lot more physical fitness. I was really taking care of myself. I bought my first home. I moved to a whole new city to start over. Like I was making new friends. I was trying out a new career. That was a very positive transitional time in my life, and I think that's how I feel still, and I want to get back to that, where I think I can live like that, for forever. I'll think about 28-year-old Amanda all the time. So ignoring my actual age, I think I'm stuck at 28, which ain't too bad. All right. What's on your travel bucket list, and where have you been before that you'd be willing to go back to? Ooh, so many places, so many things. I can't say everywhere is on my travel bucket list, because even though it is, but so in 2024, my friends and I are going to Argentina and Antarctica, and I'm super excited for that to happen. I've never been to either of those places. So if anybody who's listening has been to Argentina or Antarctica, please send me tips. Please send me your suggestions. Please send me all your favorite things: wineries, hikes, museums, salsa dance clubs, tango, whatever, steakhouses. If you've done a cruise to Antarctica, let me know how your experience went, and if there's anything I need to bring versus not bring. I keep trying to do all this research, and of course you can do that all day long, but it really just won't hit you until you do it for yourself. So if anybody has any suggestions for that, please let me know. But otherwise, my dream trip would be to fly into Lisbon, into Portugal, rent a car, and drive from Portugal through Southern Europe, Portugal, Spain, France, down over into Italy, all the way to Sicily, and do like a giant, Mediterranean Sea coast trip and visit all those towns and villages along the coast. I think it'd be so fun. But that would be like 3 months straight. And little old me does not have time for that or the money for that. So that is the dream travel bucket list right there. But where have I been before that I'd be willing to go back to? I have loved traveling in Europe with my friends and my family before. I'd go back to Europe in a heartbeat. But I think the most adventurous stuff I've done is in New Zealand. I went to New Zealand a couple of times during college, and I only ever went to the North Island. I never explored the South Island, so I would love to go back to New Zealand. I've never been to Australia. I would love to explore Australia as well. Never been to I'd love to go to Greece. That's on the list. Would love to go back to Africa. Specifically, my friends and I that did the safari tour in 2023, we want to go and do a different tour in Tanzania and Uganda and Zanzibar. We think it'd be so much fun to go out there. So going back to Africa would be something I'd like to do as well. Okay, if you could have a song play every time you entered a room, what would it be? Interesting. Only one song, and it's got to be a song that I guess I'm not going to get annoyed by because I walk through a lot of rooms when I'm home, so that song's going to be playing all day. This makes me think of the episode where Leslie Knope is trying to campaign on that show, Parks and Recreation, and she's trying to campaign, and she walks out onto a hockey rink for a speech, and her team does not have a long enough carpet rolled out to get her from the entrance of the hockey rink to the middle of the rink where the stage is built for her, and they all try and walk across it. And they're playing her walkout song, and it just keeps repeating because they can't make it across the ice, so the song just starts over and over again. So that's what this question makes me think of. Anyway, tangent. What's a song you could play every time you entered a room? I'll be honest, the first song that came to mind in my head right now was Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap by AC/DC. I don't think it would necessarily be a good political walkout song, but that's the song I'd probably pick. Every song you enter a room. If I was a professional athlete or something like that, though, I'd probably pick something from Bad Bunny. But yeah, that's the song that plays in my head when I think about myself entering a room. Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. Oh man. What would you guys pick? What would your songs be? Let me know. Send me a message and let me know what your walkout song would be. Okay. If you were going to be fired tomorrow, what would it be for? Oh, geez. One, let's hope not. I'm going to knock on some wood right now. But if I were going to be fired tomorrow, what would it be for? Honestly, I'm not really sure. The closest, one of the things that kind of stuck out to me the last time I had a performance evaluation was my facial expression. I don't easily hide sometimes exactly how I'm feeling if I'm stressed out or I don't believe something or I just don't take no bullshit. It's kind of obvious. You can see it on my face. I ain't there to mess around or be messed with, but so probably that. Maybe eye rolling a little too much. I don't know. I actually think I'm an excellent employee, and I am working my hardest to make sure that everybody in my office feels supported and appreciated and is able to have the resources that they need to get the jobs done. As a project manager, I want to make sure everybody's lives are easier, not harder. So I do take great pride in trying to keep things as organized as possible for people to make it easier. But I do know if I'm feeling a little bit more overwhelmed or a little bit more stressed or just over people's bull, I do let it show on my face. So I need to practice probably not doing that so I don't get fired. But oh well, let's hope not. Anyway. I love my job. Please don't fire me. Okay. Do you have any tattoos? If not, what would you get? No, I do not have any tattoos. My brother and his fiance have several. My cousins have some. I do not, though. I was terrified of getting a tattoo growing up. My mom made it very, very clear that she would make sure, one, I'd be dead, and two, she'd write me out of the will. And I just always took what she said seriously, so I just never really had the nerve to get something done. But I actually do have a drawing. I've drawn out the one thing I've really, really thought about as a tattoo. And it's the shape of the words, or shape of the letters JP connected to one another, but the letters are spelled out with a lyric from Mumford and Sons. So it would spell out, in these bodies we live, in these bodies we die, where you invest your love, you invest your life. But it would spell out as a J and a P. So my father and my brother's initials are JP. I don't know where the idea originally came from necessarily, but they are two very important people in my life, and I care about both of them very much. And I really think I would only get that to honor them, but interpret that lyric, where you invest your love, you invest your life. I care a lot about my family, and care a lot about where I come from and where I'm going to go and how I'm going to, catapult my life based off of the opportunities that I was given and the love that I was given in my life, right? And how can I find a way to honor myself and honor them, and invest in the things that matter to me, taking care of my body, taking care of my family, taking care of the love that I have to give, So I think that's why I would get that particular tattoo, but I have never done it. And the last time I ever talked about it with my family, my parents were joking that my dad got a tattoo, but he faked us all out because it was just a henna, like a temporary thing. And so I told him, oh, well, if you got a tattoo, then I'm going to go and get this one. And he was like, well, better not be about me. I was like, of course it is. It's your initials, you ding dong. But yeah, I don't know. I think he was afraid that if I got it, it was like a negative thing or something like that. And it's not meant to be a negative thing. It's, to me, that lyric symbolizes you invest your time and your love and your effort into the things that matter to you most, right? And family is one of them. So that's why I would do that. But I don't have it. I don't know if I'll ever get it. It's the one tattoo I've really, really thought about. I also think when I was working in the government, I used to think a lot about, running for office someday. And that's a very buried way in the back of the closet, back of file, deep file of an idea. But it's still not very common for people in public office to have tattoos, I guess. So that was one thing that I probably kept me from doing it for a very long time, is thinking that I wasn't supposed to have them. But then you join the FBI and all the agents have them. So who knows? I don't know. Maybe I was a scaredy cat for no reason, and I'm not really sure. But I never got one. So we'll see. All right. What's the most absurd thing you have been tricked into doing or believing? Oh, man. Probably so many things, but the most absurd thing that I can think of that first popped into my head was that when I was really little, my brother and his best friend Cameron would spend the night with us all the time. And one day my mom was driving me and Cameron and Jackson in the car home from something. And where I grew up, off of Harding, there is a giant flag standing in the middle of the field at Franklin Road Academy. And you can see the backside of the school where the flag is faces the exit that we would take to get off 65 and go home. And so every day we'd be up and do that loop, pass by the flag, drive by it, go home, pass by the flag, drive by it, go home. And my mom told the boys one day that the flag was a hologram. And for a couple of minutes or something like that, they believed it. And then they were like, nah, that's not true. No way. And she's like, yeah, you're right. No big deal. And then one day I'm in the car and we drive by it. My mom says it again. And the boys, I think, go along with it. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's wild. And I'm like, really? What? Okay. And I just accept it. I just believe it because why would my mom ever lie to me? Why would my mom tell me something that's so ridiculous? But yeah, she tricked me for a long time into believing that that giant flag was, like AI or something, a hologram like they have in Star Trek and Star Wars and whatnot. So yeah, that's embarrassing and absurd because that flag is massive. And like the hologram, if it was an actual hologram, then it would keep flying every day, like, blowing in the wind. And that's just not true because it can't, because not every day is windy up there. So that's probably the most absurd thing I've ever really been tricked into when I was old enough to know better. But yeah, no, I just believed anything my mom said because I trusted her. And, turns out I shouldn't, apparently. So thanks, Mom. Okay. What would you be if you had to wear one Halloween costume every day for the rest of your life? Ooh, I've had some pretty good ones growing up. Probably a pirate. I love the folklore of pirate life, the history of pirates in, the Caribbean and Indian Oceans and the modern day ones as well. I have a pretty decent costume that I was able to find off of Amazon a couple of years ago. And I've been wearing that to the Gasparilla Festival in Tampa every year for the last couple of years. I have so much fun at that place. It's just a giant 3-day festival that basically turns the city into a giant movie set for Pirates of the Caribbean, and everybody goes wild. If like Mardi Gras and Pirates of the Caribbean had a baby and then it turned into plastic beads and fishbowl drinks all night long, that's basically it. It's doubloon heaven for 3 straight days in Florida. So that's always so much fun. So I would probably be a pirate. But I've been Wonder Woman before. I've been Cleopatra. When I was really little, I had the Disney princess costume. So like I had Belle and Snow White. I would love to go to Disney and get a Jasmine costume. I think that would be really pretty. I think I could wear that well. Whether or not I should wear that, I don't know because I'm an adult woman. But yeah, I'd be a pirate. If I had to wear a Halloween costume every day, I'd probably end up being a pirate. So, all right, last couple of questions. What type of cuisine would you serve your customers if you owned a 5-star restaurant? If I owned a 5-star restaurant, I would probably just serve whatever Jackson wanted to make. My brother is a chef and he is way better at that than I am. So I would probably just hire Jackson. I would just, as a partner, I'd be a silent partner because I don't know anything about restaurants. And I'd be like, all right, here's a restaurant. What do you want to cook? Tell me about your menu. What's your strategy? Are we seasonal? What's kind of the theme? What's your vision? What do you want people to feel when they come in here? How should they enjoy the meal? Whatever. I'd probably just let him have free reign of the menu in that sense. He's very talented. He's a really good cook, and he's learning a lot, and he's growing and evolving and maturing, and it's so cool to see him really dig into a talent that he's truly had his whole life, but over the last couple of years he was able to gain all these skills and learn the techniques and the chemistry and science and magic of putting a plate together, and what does that what does that look like, and how does that smell, how does that taste, and what works together and what doesn't. And he's doing well, and it's just so exciting to see him grow in that space. So that's probably what I would do. I would make him compromise on the name of the restaurant, though. He can't just name it whatever he wants, because then it would end up turning into like a Viking disco party, and I don't want to pay for that. But I'll pay for his 5-star restaurant if I ever could. So that's probably what I would do. And I think he's got a lot of good ideas, and it would be cool to watch him execute on that. So that's what I would do. I would serve my customers Jackson's food. Okay, last question. What was your favorite childhood book? So I had a lot of books when I was really little. I was definitely one of those kids that always came into my bedroom when it was time to go to sleep, like for bedtime, with like piles, just as much as my 2 little arms could handle, grabbing books and throwing them into the bed to be read. But I think as like middle school, high school age, the book that stuck with me the most was The Things They Carried. I think that's by Tim O'Brien. The Things They Carried was a collection of short stories about a platoon of American soldiers who were fighting on the ground in Vietnam. Tim O'Brien is a veteran in the United States military, and so he got a lot of his inspiration from his own experiences. But that particular book, it was heavy, right? It was heavy to read, but easy to read. And we had to read it when I was in middle school, high school, which was kind of the prime of my dad's business, when we had a lot of veterans employed in the office. So when I was involved as like an intern or would visit my dad at work with his employees and stuff, a lot of his people around him were veterans or active duty National Guardsmen, soldiers, Marines, Navy members, etc. And I just learned a lot from those people and those service members, and it really struck home reading those essays, because it gave a non-soldier or a non-service member insight into how a soldier might be feeling pre, post, and during war, during a battle. And The Things They Carried, I thought, was a great title, because it's insinuating not only what they had to carry while they were on active duty, like their actual uniform and their rucksack and all their guns and weapons and materials to survive in the jungle, but the things they carried home as well, right? The physical scars, emotional scars, mental health concerns, fear, PTSD, and the fact that people say all the time in therapy, like, you can let that luggage go, you can get rid of that baggage, you can stop holding on to those things. But for people that were in the book, the characters in that book, the people that they were based on, they will never be able to let go of that. They will never stop carrying that. And it has stayed with me for forever. After reading that book, it definitely, I don't think it necessarily fueled all of my patriotism and my feelings towards, the United States, but it definitely encouraged my continued compassion and understanding and want to help the country and help the people that serve us and protect us and make sure our rights are sustained. So it's I think one of the more noble jobs you can have, to give up your life in service of your country, but it will come at a cost. It will absolutely come at a cost. So that's not what this person was asking me for. Maybe you were hoping for a more lighthearted answer, but that really is the answer. Like, that is probably the book that has stuck with me the most. I've read it multiple times. I've had hard copies until the literal pages were falling out of the binding. I've had the downloadable version on my iPad for years. I really, really do enjoy that book. I've read it multiple times and can still enjoy reading it again. It's somebody who went through Vietnam, can write about Vietnam, and yet make it a universal story. Make it a timeless story with the things that they carried. So that's about all I have. Hopefully, you've enjoyed this Q&A session and you've had a good time going through the questions and answers with me. I really appreciate anybody that submitted a question. It means a lot to me that you would want to participate and send in some questions and answers. So I really enjoyed doing that. Let me know if you liked it as well, and we can try and schedule in some more Q&A opportunities on the show. But we've got a lot of good stuff coming your way. Working on getting some more guest speakers. Have a couple interviews in the pipeline later this week. So looking forward to getting those done and posted up for the show. So super exciting things are coming. And I'm very, very grateful for all of my listeners, anyone that participates on the show, everyone that sends me feedback or comments. I do my best to get back to each and every one of you. So if I haven't responded to your message, please know that I will do my best to get to it and see it. And I appreciate all of the love and support that you have offered me so far. It truly does mean the world to me. So thank you so much. But as always, remember to like, subscribe, leave a review. I hope all of you stay safe and enjoy the rest of your day, your evening, whenever you're listening to the show. Share the show with a friend. Send me a review. You can always find me at askwhatnowpodcast@gmail.com. I appreciate all of you and thank you so much for listening, and I will catch up with you next week. And remember, wanderers are always welcome.